Okay, relax.
Yeah. Okay, this is a Sicha from Chelik Lamed Vov on Chamish Osar Bishvat. Tanan Bereish Mesichtas Rosh Hashanah. It says in the Mishnah, in the beginning of the Mesichta Rosh Hashanah, it says like this: Arba Rosh Hashanim Heim. There are 4 Rosh Hashanahs. Be'echad b'Nisan Rosh Hashanah Limlochim Ol Regolim. And the first day of Nisan is Rosh Hashanah for the kings and for the Yomim Tovim. What does that mean? That means when you count the years of the king, you start from Echad b'Nisan. That means that, let's say, if a king was appointed 29th day of Adar, and then you're writing something second day of Nisan, it's already called the second year of the king, even though he's king for 3 days. So it's actually not so for the king, it's Rosh Hashanah is the first day of Nisan, and so also for Yomim Tovim. Yomim Tovim means there are certain dinim that when you promise to bring a korban, you have a certain amount of time that you're able to bring it. And it starts from a yontif. So the first yontif that it starts of is from Pesach. Ve'echad b'Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Le'ilon. He skips in the middle, because to this Sicha it's not negay, he skips the other 2. So the first one he mentions in the Mishnah is the first day of Nisan, the Rosh Hashanah for the kings and for the Yom Tovim. And Be'echad b'Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Le'ilon, Rosh Chodesh Shvat, is the Rosh Hashanah for a tree, Kedivre b'Shamai, according to b'Shamai. And Beis Hillel say b'Chamisha Osabei, that the 15th day of Shvat is Rosh Hashanah for the trees. Which means, what means Rosh Hashanah for the trees? That since you take off Meiser and Truma, and you can't mix the fruit from one tree l'gabe the other, so what's the cutoff line? When is it considered another year? Chamisha Osabei b'Shvat, according to Beis Hillel, and that's how we pass it.
Because of Trumas and Meiser, because of the
no, that's the reason.
Seasonal.
No, that's the reason. But what is it negaya? So the Rebbe says like this: V'hinei milvad hashaychas haklol has been called Daled Rosh Hashanim. Besides the general connection between all 4 Rosh Hashanahs, there's definitely a connection between them, because the kivim shekulam nishna b'mishna achas, because they're all learned in one Mishnah. V'nikroyim b'shem Rosh Hashanah, and they all have the same name, Rosh Hashanah. Movement sheyesh shaychas b'neiim gam b'teichen inyonim. There must be a connection between all 4 in their contents, in what they mean. But besides that, based on the famous rule, knows seifon b'tchiloson tchiloson b'seifon, that the end is connected to the beginning and the beginning to the end. Move on from that, we understand that the meaning of Rosh Hashanah in the beginning of the Mishnah, which is Echad ben Nisan Rosh Hashanah l'Melachim u'Regolim. The first day of Nisan is the Rosh Hashanah for the kings and for the Yom Tovim. Shayich b'miyuchad l'Rosh Hashanah l'Ilon shenishna b'sof HaMishnah, especially connected to Rosh Hashanah, to the trees, because that's the end of the Mishnah. So besides being part of the same Mishnah, which automatically makes a connection, but that would be with the other 2 also. But mainly the connection is between the first part of the Mishnah, the last part, so the Rosh Hashanah for kings and for the Yom Tovim, which is Achad ben Nisan, is connected to the Rosh Hashanah of the trees, which is, according to Beishamai, the first day of Shvat, but the halacha, according to Beis Hillel, is the 15th day of Shvat.
How do you bring Sefer Yetzirah to back up Sahalacha?
He's not talking halacha here.
He's
He's not talking halacha here.
Okay, the Mishnah.
He just says in Inyan, the Teichen. He doesn't say in halacha. Zeis va'ed, more than that. Kim sherosh Hashanah l'mlochim v'rosh Hashanah l'regolim cholim be'is hayim b'echad ben Nisan. Since the Rosh Hashanah for the kings and the Rosh Hashanah for the Yom Tovim come out the same day, Echad ben Nisan, mistaber sheyesh shaychus miyuchedes b'neihem. There must be a special shaychus between these 2. In other words, like this: there must be a special connection between the Yom Tovim and the kings, because they're all on the same day. That's a real connection. And then these 2 must have a connection to the end, which is the Rosh Hashanah for the trees. So what is it? So the Rebbe said like this will be understood based on what the Rabbeinu Bechai writes. Other Meforshim write, we know that the 3 Yom Tovim were established in the Torah based on the grain. Pesach is Manoviv. Pesach is in the time when the grain starts blossoming. Shavuos is Chag HaKotzir. Shavuos is the time when we cut the grain, and Ktsir Chitim, that's when we cut the wheat. And Chag HaSukkos is Bizman Osif. Sukkos is when we gather the wheat. It's all connected to the grain. The Tam HaDovor, Shenikvu Mea Di Ashon Al Smichas HaTvuah Al Derech HaChsidus. And the reason why did they Eibishter establish the Yom Tovim based on the growth of the Tvuah, a growth of the grain. So Pi Pashtes, it says, because Yom Tovim is happy time. When are you happy? When you start growing, then you're happy when you cut, and you're happy. That's Poshup Shah, but there must be much more to it, deeper, in a deeper sense. That the reason we connected the Yom Tevim to the growing of the fruit, growing of the grain, the Tvua, must have a special connection, a special reason, al Chassidus, which means a deeper way. So the Rebbe explains it like this, very interesting.
For Pesach, we know. Kaka Uviv. It has to be an Uviv.
No, I know, but why is it connected to the growth of the Tvua? You're saying we know it's connected to the growth of the because that's Chaydish Aviv. But why? Why is it connected? Make a yonta based on the Tvua. And it's not. It's more than Bepah. Parshas is because people are happy when the Tvua grows. That's the reason.
We're Pesach is not connected.
It is.
No.
Chaydish Aviv. Aviv.
It is Mitzrayim.
So that's Pesach, but we're not connected. That's not connected to the Tvua, but we see it is connected to the Tvua. That's the question. No, Pesach also.
Kaka Usiv.
But Chaydish Aviv. No, we say Pesach is in the Aviv. Why is it in the Aviv? Aviv means when it starts growing. So we're connecting the Yont of Pesach to the time of growing. At Kedekach, we always make a Iber Yor, extra month. It should come out Chaydish Aviv.
Because it says in the Torah.
I know, why does the Torah say everything's in the Torah? Chag Osim is also in the
It
Torah.
has to be a Chodesh Uviv.
Why? That's the whole question. Why? Why is it connected to Chaydish Aviv? You say Pesach is Tzias Mitzrayim, fine. Shavuos is Matan Torah, weiter, fine. Separate inyonim. But the Rabbeinu V'chai points out that if you look in the Chumash, besides all these inyonim, sometimes that's connected to the Zmanim of the Tvua. Why would it be connected to the Tvua? So besides the Gashmasdike reason why it's connected to the Tvua, because that's a Zman of Simcha, there is a Ruchnisdike reason why the Yom Tevim are connected to the different stages of the Tvua. So he says like this, Bnei Yisro nikroyim Tvuas Hashem. Yidden are called Tvua. They're called the grain of Hashem. Meshikosov, there's a posuk that says, Kodesh Yisrael Hashem, Reishis Tvasai. That Yidden are holy to Hashem, they're the first of His Tvua. So we see we refer to the Yidden as the Tvua of Hashem. Uksiv, it says another posuk, Uzaraiti Liba Oretz. The Deibisha says, I'm going to plant it in the earth. That means, he's talking about the Yidden, that he's going to plant the Tvua in the earth. That means he's planting the Yidden in the earth. What does that mean? You read us on the Neshama. The Neshama, the Eibush that took the Neshama, the Yidden, which is called his Tvua, put him down to this earth. Ki Yiridas Neshamas Yisrael be'eretz alazu, when the Neshamas come down to this world, he can meizriya ba'oretz. It's like planting. Just like you plant a seed in the ground, the Eibush planted us in this world. Now, when it comes to planting, the Chazal tell us, Klum odem zerei akur elahachnis kamakurim. Person takes a kur, a certain measurement of seeds, plants it, not to expect to get another kur of seeds growing. What's the purpose? He expects putting in one kur, you'll get many kurim growing. Shetachlas azriya yiribu yatzmiche. The purpose of the planting is to have a lot more growing. Shemichita achasem cheschitim harbe. From one wheat, you get many wheat. So, since we compare the Yidden coming into this world to growth, to planting, same thing is here. V'cheinu b'bnei Yisrael, the same by Yidden. Shetachli zriyosam borders, the purpose of why the Eibusha planted us in this world, shehi yirida atzuma, it's a terrible descent, a terrible yirida. Me'igre rama lebira amik, it's like always in the Gemara has a lotion, when you want to show how far it is, you say from the top highest roof to the lowest pit. So that's a motion, that's very big yirida for the neshama. The purpose is, why do we come down here? Hitzmichas v'gidl neshama. It's because just like when you plant in order to grow, the neshama will grow by coming down here. That this through this yirida it will grow. The famous expression brought down hundreds of times. Yirida zu tzerech aliyah. This coming down to this world is for the purpose of going higher. By the neshama coming down to this world, it goes up to a higher level. It becomes higher than it was before. Just like when you plant one seed, in order to gain more seeds, many seeds go higher. The neshama, by being planted in this world and being here, goes higher than it was before. In addition, till now, when we compared the Yidden's neshama coming down here to planting, it's just to show what the tachlis is. The tachlis, it should grow. The Rebbe, it's more than that. We could see what you're supposed to do down here from the union of growing. The union of growing is not only a moshel to the neshama coming down and saying that the tachlis is it should grow. How to do Aveda, what we're supposed to do, you could also learn out from the union of planting. The fact that we're planted in this earth tells us what our Aveda is, which through that we will grow higher. What is the Aveda?
Kamakorin goes
Two
on
things.
Going higher.
What?
Kamakorin goes on going higher. Doesn't go on
And what?
making more yidden. The expansive, the produce that will
Yeah. Goes on each neshama.
goes on each neshama.
Goes higher.
that should go higher. Not
Right.
that we're creating more yidden. There's more yidden. And
Oh,
it's
so
not
what is that?
physical.
No. It says each neshama goes higher. But what to do in order to grow higher, you could also learn out from the union of planting. Number one, Smichas atvua einem achita atzman izras boretz. When you plant a seed and it grows, it's not that the seed grows, it's not that the seed turns into many. Elai they recover nachita nizras. What happens is you plant a seed and the seed gets rotten in the ground. I don't know how people from agriculture agree to this, but this is what it says in Chassidus, what it says in Tanya. The fact is, the seed doesn't make things grow. What makes things grow is there's a keach hatzemeach in the ground. The Eibishter put into the ground, in the earth, a keach to make everything grow. But what should grow? What should grow? In any ground. So since there's nothing specific, so nothing comes out. When you put in a seed, and the seed rots in that part of the ground, and the seed is made of whatever fruit or whatever thing it is, that awakens the keach hatzemeach, the keach of growing, and makes things grow. So how does it make to grow? First, the seed is rotten. Rotten means it becomes bottle. It's nullified. Then it's nullified to what? To the keach hatzemeach, to the ground, which is keach hatzemeach. That awakens. If you put in a seed of wheat, it'll awaken the keach hatzemeach to grow seeds here, to grow wheat here.
Only if it is 3 feet?
Only. That's how it works. That's what it says. He says, and the Lashon he says here, 13. Re'ei Tanya Geras HaKodesh. Umizeh moving the Eidinyan.
Tanya says it like that too?
Yeah, it says in Tanya.
It says that it rots, but does it say that the ground is...
Yeah, it says, that's what comes here. It says in Tera'ir, it says that it's Keach HaTzameach in the ground that makes things grow. The Rebbe has a whole beer on this, based, that's why in the Yamsuf, when they crossed the Yamsuf, things grew, based on all this, on this word. And Mizeh moving the Eidinyan, this... Ah?
The onion you put in, it grows, the onion itself grows. Certain
Yeah.
foods, not all of them.
Oh, wheat. I'm talking about grain. Grain is like that. Also, a tree, if you put in a seed for a tree, also has to rot. Mezeh moving Eidinyan. This tells...
Sometimes you use like this with water.
Ah?
A lot of times you can grow things with water.
That's the hydroponics. That's a new invention. Then. Ah?
The coconut itself grows.
That's because it's
I know, I'm saying, but the
Everything has
trees...
earth in it.
When you plant a tree, an apple tree, you put in a seed. So the seed rots and that makes into a tree. Anyway.
You said the Rebbe mentioned...
Ah?
You said the Rebbe spoke about hydroponics? Yeah.
The Rebbe...
About what?
No, I'm saying this is the Indian. What you're saying about water, that's hydroponics. That's a different Indian.
You might say the earth is in everything. There's karchet tzemech in there too.
Yeah,
Earth
in-
is the fundamental.
In the
element
earth,
that
in the
everything
water,
is
you
in
have
there, too.
offer. Everything has a mixture of it, and that makes things grow also. From that we understand another thing. When we say through growing it gets added, it's not just a quantity addition. That from one wheat turns a lot of wheat. It's something new. Since it rots, so if it stays, it multiplies. So that's only a difference in quantity. Till now it's one, now this one turns into many. But since it rots and now it makes, so it's a new thing. So a new thing comes out. So that's the Gashmasdik Metzias of growing. Now since we said that the Neshama coming down to this world is also considered planted, and it's supposed to grow, similar to the growth of Tvua in the ground, we said, what is the Inyan? Neshama comes down to this world and it grows, it goes higher. The same way, how do you get that the neshama should grow? He said, down here it grows because it's here. Something has to happen. Ayidei has riyah boret by planting in the ground. How does it work? If a person is in the form of beetle, al derech inyan harikoven, just like when the seed rots, that's when it makes things grow. Here too, you have to have beetle. What's beetle? The nafshik you offer like eltia. We see in davening, we refer to bittel like ground. You have to be bottled like the earth. The hainu aveda b'derech Kabbalah say. What's bittel? You serve Hashem but you serve Hashem not with your mitzias. You don't serve Hashem because I understand. Then you're serving Him, really serving yourself. I think this is right, so I'll do it. You have to do it just because Hashem said so. And he quotes from Tanya, Shehireishis ha'aveda v'ikra v'shorshak mishkosa b'Tanya Kadisha. It says in Tanya that Kabbalah Seil Malcha Shemayim, accepting the yoke of Hashem, that's the beginning of the Aveda, the Ikir of the Aveda, and the source of the Aveda, the root. So what happens when you have the beetle? So just like by the physical seed that you plant, and it gets bottled to the ground, comes out something new. So by Yid also, by being down here and being bottled to Hashem, then what comes out, you grow. In which way? Just like in the Moshel we said, it grows bein areich, a new type of thing. Here also, Yid becomes a new Metzias by being bottled to the Eibush down here, versus even the way the Neshama itself was before. That's how much higher it goes. That's one thing, how we compare the Neshama being planted in the ground and growing to planting a seed and growing. Another thing, Bais. Just like when you plant something, Gashmis. It says you plant with tears and you cut with joy. You go and you cry and then you're carrying the zera. Then when you carry the bundles already of the finished product, then you have rina, then you have joy. What's the pshat? That through planting with tears, like it says, you cry, only through that bitl, by crying, which is bitl, that's when you get the product, the finished product. The same way as when they the Yidden. By the Yidden being down here in this world, being bottled to Hashem, you get the simcha. Just like over there, you get simcha through the bitl that you have the. See, there's two things of bitl. He says. Number one, the seed gets rotten. That's bottle. That represents bitl. Here he says another thing. The person who plants the seed also has bitl. Like it says, how does he plant it? Crying, bedimo. He's bottle. He feels bad. But the result, this bitl brings simcha. So the same thing by Aveda, by Yidden, through the bitl, you get to the level of simcha.
It wasn't Hashem?
Huh?
Hashem planted the Neshama in this world?
No. Yeah, but no, the bitl is talking about the Yid. Just like over there, it's connected to bitl. Not there happens to be the person who plants. It doesn't mean the one that plants us. But we are here, that's what he said, we learn the Aveda in this world from tzmicha. Tzmicha starts off by planting, starts off with bitl. It's planted, and it gets bottled, and the planting itself represents bitl. And what comes out, first of all, you grow, and second of all, you get the simcha.
It's a shot, how Hashem feels when He puts the Nebushabakis in His body, and He goes through everything.
That's not what he's saying here at all. That's not at all. He says the bitl, the Eibush has bitl. V'yashleimar, sheba'aveda ruchnis, in the ruchnis dike aveda, hasimcha misgalas beis ha'aliyah. You see, what's he going to say like this? Even though we're using the moshel of planting, that when you plant it, later on, when it grows, you simcha. Why doesn't when it grows you have simcha? Because you see a finished product, you're happy. So the result of your work brings you to simcha. Not that simcha brings you to the result. Because you see the end, you worked hard, and then finally you get the product, and you're happy. But in Ruchnis, he says it's not like that. It's not the pshat that the simcha that comes is a eina inyan zdodi levad. It's not a side thing. The kiv and sheirei hatzmicha loch nisamayach. Just like begashmias, you see the growth, you're happy. So in Ruchnis also, if you work and you bottle and b'meila you see the neshama grow to a higher madrege, b'meila it makes you happy. That's not the pshat. Eli shaychas la aliyah gufe. It's connected to the fact that we go up higher. The aliyas haneshama shebegeder tzmicha she aliyah shlei be'era. This fact, the neshama grows and grows up higher. To the way it was before. Becomes like a new thing. If we work through simcha, that will bring the result. Not that the result will bring simcha. What does it got to do with simcha? We know the inyan simcha peretz is get that says simcha breaks through all boundaries. Shalidei simcha mitis, through real simcha mizbatlim kol hagdorim v'agbol shalodom. All the limitations and restrictions of the person become bottled. That's the pshat. That this great aliyah that the neshama gets by being down here, working down here, Shenasis kemetzias chadosha becomes something new. Now, like we did before, nasis al dei simcha. That comes to simcha. Pritzes agdorim brings the gdorim. In other words, he says two things have to happen for a yid by being down here and serving the Eibush down here should grow very high. Before the bittul, like we see the two parts of bittul in the planting, and the simcha. Just like by the planting also, you come the end, comes simcha. Here, simcha is part of the Aveda.
In terms of most neshamas b'nei Yisrael, most neshamas do not have simcha in serving Hashem, have no idea what they are doing.
I have a better kasha. Most neshamas don't don't do mitzvahs. But that's not negated to this sicha. This is a kasha and all the svarim there. It's not a kasha on this sicha. Huh? We see Yidden that are not the simcha and they still down here and they don't do the job. I said they see Yidden who are not from B'chlal also. And they,
Who says
I have that's a kasha that I have in all the Mamorim and I think on Chumash also. It says that who'll get the brachas will be only those that will chakei seitelechu. So.
Every year does tshuva.
Huh?
So every
Yeah.
year
That's the answer. That's the answer on the kasha. Yeah. This will explain the reason why these 3 Yom Tovim have to do with the planting of the Tvua. The 2 things we said before that cause the growth and the aliyah of the neshama, which are bittul. Number 1, bittul, which is the rekovim, which is the rotting of the seed, and by the bittul, and the simcha. Both of these things, yeshna b'sholos regolim. That we find by all 3 Yom Tovim. These 2 inyonim. Where do we find it? On one hand, regolim and meloshin regel. Why are they called the Yom Tovim called regolim? From the word regel, foot. That's why a child who can't hold his father's hands and walk up from Yerushalayim to the Harabais doesn't have to go to Yerushalayim. It's potter from Riyah. Riyah means the mitzvah of going to Yerushalayim for Yontif. Why? Kisholish regolim ksiv. Because it says in Posik 3 regolim. Okay, Pirish Rash and Rash explains, Horoyu lales beraglav chayiv akosav. The Torah only obligated someone who goes with his feet. So we see it's connected to the feet. It says in Gemara, chigir beragle achas potter menariyah. If a person is limping on 1 foot, he's potter from going up. Shnemer, it says regolim. Regolim is lashon rabim, so you have to be able to walk with both feet. If only 1 foot is functioning, you're potter. But what does it mean? That Yontev is connected to regel. What does regel represent? Okay, physically regel means a foot. But everything has a spiritual meaning. What does regel represent by a person? Yedua sheregel meire al ha'avei de kabbalah se'mal chashamayim. The feet, well, you could serve Hashem with your head, you could serve Hashem with your hands, with your heart, you could serve Hashem with your feet. Now, feet represent kabbalah se'mal chashamayim, doing things just because Hashem said so. She'eina eiserot Hashem begal habanose ve'asagose. You don't serve Hashem because you understand it. A regesh libe, or the feeling of your heart, which is avas Hashem v'yirosid, loving Hashem and having fear of Him. That's not Kabbalah Seil. That's a very good Aveda. But Kabbalah Seil means ela eiseke machmas Kabbalah, so you do it like an eved, a servant, a slave does his master's will because he accepts his yoke. Which is parallel to the bittul that we said when you plant. When you plant, has to rot, become bottle. That's regel. Regel is bittul. Regel represents a bittul of a person. We always in Chassidus constantly learn. When it talks about regel, it means the bittul of a person to the Eibishter is regel. That's why it's from the lowest part of the body. Because as far as levels, it's lower. Seichel is a much higher level. But it has a chesron. It's not so much bittul. If you do something with seichel, because I like it or I feel it, it's not really giving over to Hashem. But that's why Anoshim Pshut, simple people, have this mile. Why do they do it? They don't understand why. Because that's what they feel, that they have to do it. That's Kabbalah Seil. That's one part of Yontiv, called Regel. Li'idoch, harei miyadim l'simcha. Yom Tov are made for simcha. V'hi ha-simcha ha-mizgalas be'is ha-tzmicha v'aliyah. That represents the simcha that you get when it grows, and you have the simcha, and as we said before, the simcha brings the growth. That's the simcha of Yontiv. So Yom Tovim have to do with these 2 sides. So the first thing we're going to see from here, that's the common denominator between Rosh Hashanah for the Yom Tovim, for the Regolim, and the kings. There's something in common between the Regolim and the Melachim. What's the name of a Melech? Tafkidei shel Melech Yisrael, the job of a Melech Yisrael, of a Yiddish melech. Shakavane b'Rosh Hashanah Melech Malch Yisrael. Because when the Gemara says it's Rosh Hashanah the kings, the Gemara says very clearly means Yiddish kings, not for Goyish kings. Yiddish king is different. What's the function of a Yiddish king? To bring by the Yidden to have bittul to Hashem, which is similar to the Zeirim Bedima, when you plant with tears, which is bittul b'rikoven, the bittul and the rotting. The king, by instilling in the Yidden a bittul to Hashem, brings the Yidden higher. Like we said before, when you have bittul, you go higher. Where do we see it? Where do we see that this is the function of a king? Like we have the Tzemach Tzedek's explanation. What is the union of a Yiddish king? To bring within the Yidden their bittul to Hashem, King of Kings. Because he explains it. The king himself is supposed to have the greatest bittul to Hashem. He's supposed to be the biggest tzaddik. When you say a king, we imagine like David HaMelech. He was the tachlis habitl to the Eibishter. K'maimer Chazal, ein al gabov el Hashem alakol. It says a king is a person that has nobody on top of him, but the Eibishter. That means he's directly bottled to the Eibishter. Shaloch an HaMelech, kim shekor hashuv en uzeikev. The din is by Shemon Esrei that when you daven, you bow down a few times. You're not allowed to bow down more than that. A king, when he would daven, start off Shemon Esrei, Baruch Atah, bow down, and stay bowed down till the end of Shemon Esrei. It's not only because he has to be careful. It's not just we want him to feel the whole time bending down to be bottle, so he shouldn't become a Balgaiva, after all, I'm the king. No, it's not that reason. Not only. This is what a king is. A king is bittul. He has to bring himself to tachas bittul, great bittul. Till he can't even pick himself up. He's standing Shemon Esrei. See, we think is a halacha, you must bend down. Yeah, it is halacha. But the halacha comes from what it is. A king, be'etzem, wouldn't feel to pick himself up. He's standing in front of Hashem. How could he stand straight? So that's the meaning of a king. When the Yidden people are mevatel themselves to the king, like it says, same tosim alech HaMelech, put the king upon you. Droshas Chazal, the Chazal tell us it means, you should have his fear upon you. It says, put the king upon you. Same tosim alech HaMelech. What does that mean? Put the king on your head. That means that you should feel bottled to him, you should feel he's on top of you. So when you are bottled to the king, and the king is bottled completely to the Eibishter, so the bittul that the king has comes to them too. So here we see the comparison, the parallel between the kings and the Yom Tovim. We said by Yom Tovim, one of the things of regel is bittul. The king is also in Yom bittul. Yes.
Going up. Melech Peretz Geder. Read about his going up to Hashem. Peretz Geder.
No, Geder. No, he breaks the Gedorim. In Poshup Shad, he breaks the Gedorim of a wall. No, here it means he breaks the Gedorim that he becomes more bottle. Because a Geder, we have the limitation, it's against the bittul. The Ashleima, so we could say, Shad, the bittul is Eshela. Ah?
You have a button to Kiyitz. Why does he have to go through the Melech?
Because the Melech is the greatest. Yeah, but the Melech is the greatest. He's the greatest person that's bottled. He's bottled the most than everybody else. What does it say by Shaul HaMelech? He was from his shoulder up, he was higher than everybody. So Chassidus says, what does that mean? Beruchnius. Then every person. He is the top. David HaMelech was the top person of the whole generation in Ruchnius. That's why it says, Ben Shona Shol B'molchei. He was a year old when he became king. A year old. That means he was B'loi Chet, like a baby. And he's the greatest tzaddik, yes, he's the most bittul. And nobody could reach a bittul to Hashem without going through the melech, because as much as a bittul dikid, he's still, the bittul is shvach. He still has the ego. And the melech doesn't. But Yashleimar.
He accomplishes this just by being a king, not by doing anything special.
Oh, why did they make him king? Because he was like that. The Eibishter chose him to be king because he was like that. In other words, he did Aveda to reach that. He didn't just happen. Aveda was born with a special neshama, but he worked himself up to be bottled completely. And we can say that when the Yidden are bottled to the king, that by them being bottled, he brings them to higher madrege than the neshama is on its own. He calls it just since the king is the highest, he's the highest of the highest. He says the pasuk that he's from his shoulder up, he's higher than everybody. That's why he could bring him to a madrege higher than themselves. Why? Because he's so high. So he could bring him up to that high madrege. So bedugma sinyanat smicha, which is parallel, just like we say by growth, through the bittel, through the rotting, you reach a high madrege, it grows a lot. So here also, a yid, by having the bittel through the king, he brings them up and makes them grow. He's havas chadosha, making like a new person kid now, before. So that's one thing of the Yom Tovim, which is similar to the Melech. Now, when we talk about Yom Tovim, there is a difference in the three Yom Tovim themselves. The Rebbe Yalkut, it says in Yalkut, Medrash, it says like this. There are 3 times you find Simcha by Yom Tov. Ksiv b'chag, by Yom Tov, by Sukkot it says, and then it says by Shavuos. Aval b'Pesach, I think Sukkot it says twice the word Simcha. By Shavuos it says once. That's where we get the idea of 3. Pesach doesn't say even once. Lomo. So he says, why Pesach there's no real Simcha? Even though you have to have Simcha, every Yom Tov is Simcha, but why is it not written? Pesach, you just planted, just started. You never know. The Tvua is judged. You don't know what's going to be, if it's going to grow or not. It doesn't say Simcha. This is the Poshup shot, because you're not so happy yet. You find by Shavuos, it only says once. Why? Why is it once? It's already brought inside. Brought inside, you're already happy. But only once. Why doesn't it say twice Simcha, like it says on Sukkot? Because not everything is finished already. There's still something that's judged, and that is the trees. Sukkot, you already have everything inside the house. From this comes out, the greatness of Simcha of Sukkot. Why is Sukkot so happy? Because the trees are already inside. Not like the Tvua which comes inside only on Shavuos. So that's the Gashmas, the Kipshat. Based connection, what we said before, there's a deeper pshat here. In this inyan, that because the trees are brought in, that's why there is more Simcha. Why after the trees? Okay, Begashmi is because now you have everything. But there must be something connected to the trees. So he said like this. What we said before concerning planting. By trees, this is even more. When you plant wheat, and new wheat comes out, we said before it's like something new. It's not mamish really new. It is more or less. Why not mamish? What you planted was a wheat. What comes out? Many wheat. It's basically the same thing. Elamai, it's so much different, and the first wheat rot, but it's not really. The seed that you planted was a regular wheat. You could have eaten it. Has a taste. But when you plant trees, when you plant a seed for a tree that has no taste.
An apple.
Also not. The seed?
Seeds of the apple?
Yeah, it's not an apple. It doesn't have a taste of an apple.
It's delicious.
I know.
The seed of an apple is delicious.
Good.
Eat them.
If you like
That's
it.
nowadays.
I tried and then
I don't know. In the way it's in the time of the Gemara, it never talks about seeds of apples or things like that. And what grows out is a complete different thing than the one to plant. You plant a seed of an apple and you get apples. So by the Tvua, you don't see really the difference. You see a lot, it's quantity, not quality. But Lepel, it's still quality because that's not there anymore. But where do you really see this union of the real growth? You see in the trees. That's why we find a difference in Zriya of planting Tvua, grain, and planting a tree, for a tree, in the time when it grows. He quotes from the Alter Rebbe in Kutatera, when you plant a seed for wheat, it doesn't take so long. From when you plant till it grows, it doesn't take so long. When you plant for fruit from a tree, it takes a long time till the fruit grows. Why take? Because the seed of the grain and the grain that comes out is not so far apart. So it doesn't take so long. From the seed of the tree and the fruit, it's complete different things. It's a eichus chadosh, a new quality. That's why it takes long. Well, idoch
Takes long too. 3 years.
no, that's not locha. Well, idoch on the other hand, yashmai legdele b'smichas peirosil legab b'smichas tvua. B'chura, so there's a chasson, there's something lacking in the tree because it takes you much longer. But there's a mile here. What's the mile? The peirosil nurin lachil miyad. Fruit of the tree you could eat right away. The like it not like to grain, shachita and itzmachas, even when it grows, let's say the wheat that grows. You can't eat it as it is. You have to do all kinds of work. You have to grind it and cook them.
It's a shorter, longer way.
No, till you get to it.
So you get it right away, but
You get it right away, but it takes you later, it takes you long. Yes, yes. That's why Sukkot, there's the greater simcha. Then not only because that's when you gather the tvua, that's a simple pshat. The peiros, no, not only you gather tvua, you also gather then the tree, the fruit of the tree. So this concept of tzmich, of growth, the concept of growing, where is they have the shleimus of what happens by growing is by a tree. What?
All fruits are different times.
Okay.
That's sukkahs.
No, but that's what the Medrash says. The Medrash says that that's when you. That's nothing to do with the Sichas. That's the Medrash. The Medrash, he quoted the Yalkut. The Yalkut said this is not only here. And Yalkut is probably. Well, the Gemara talks about different.
talking about Eretz Yisrael,
Maybe-
Yerushalayim, maybe the
No,
climate-
Eretz Yisrael. Let's talk about Eretz
Yeah,
Yisrael.
I mean, the climate there is.
Yeah. I guess there is a sman that's called from the tree. Avadi in that goof it could be. Gemara in the beginning of Baba Basra. Beginning of Chazkas Sabat Baba Basra it talks about it. But the zman that the Yalkut says is the zman of the Peiros Elon is Sukkot. Vapian kolanal muvene shashayches beroshn elochem uregolim shebtchilas hamishne beroshn elon shebesof hamishne. Now we understand the connection between Rosh Hashanah to the kings and to the Yom Tovim, to the Golim, which is the beginning of the Mishnah, to the Rosh Hashanah of the tree, which is the end of the Mishnah. The Noach Chalosim Asefim, because the beginning is connected to the end. Shayilu hanirbes betchilas hamishne. The great thing that happens, that's hinted in the beginning of the Mishnah, which is Rosh Hashanah L'Mlochim, or L'Golim. What's hinted there? Hatzmicha v'aliyah. When we talk about Regolim, it's the growth. Because Regolim is bittul, and it's because we said before Regel, and the grows, you get into Simcha, and the Malachim also is the bittul, is Noah's B'Seif and connected to the end, which is Rosh Hashanah. Why? In the beginning, it talks about the growth that you get through bittul, and where do we see the great bittul that there is, and the greatest growth that there is Be'elon, is dafke in trees, and that's the union of the trees at the end. And it says if you apply this to a person's aveda, you could say about Mashakosek, the Gemara says, the Pasuk says, a person's like the tree of the field. The Gemara says, the koya al Tamid HaChachamim. What does it mean? What's the tree? It goes on Tamid HaChachamim. That's what the Gemara says in Tainis. We said by a tree there is the mile of growth, and in the person that represents his growth, since the Gemara says that the tree represents Tamid HaChachamim, so where is the main growth? Torah. By Torah we see this concept more than by anything else, that in order to be matzliach, in order to be successful, you have to work hard. You have to have bittul. Because it says you have to work labor in Torah. Like it says, if you will work hard, by Torah you will find. By working hard and learning Torah, working hard is connected to bittul. We zeicha to the growth. We're matzliach more than you put in, which brings the simcha mitis. That brings the real simcha. That if you work with bittul, then the end is you have simcha.